What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Journey Podcast. It's episode 13. Got my guys Jake and Sammy Zach out here.
Episode 13, yeah.
Episode 13. This is what, your fourth appearance?
I have no fucking idea, bro.
Well,
This is later in the night than we normally would shoot a podcast.
Yeah, it's about 10 p.m. right now. But yeah, you're basically, co-host at this point.
I'm down.
Yeah.
We need a funny graphic where it's like the journey and both of our heads animated, like
Yeah.
poking over, and then we'll have Nick sitting in his chair with a hoodie on his phone.
For sure. Fucking Lou over there. But yeah, welcome Sam. This is first time appearance
Sammy
on the
Free.
journey.
Journey debut and podcasting debut.
Yeah,
You've
welcome.
Never shot a podcast before?
Never. I don't even know if I've been on camera ever.
Really?
Like actual camera, yeah.
Wow.
So
Well, congratulations.
so
bro.
viewers, bear with me if I'm a little off.
Yeah, no, this is a guy we definitely wanted on, though, for sure. We've been talking about this, obviously, for weeks now, and I'm glad we finally got it going. But there's real no structure in this, episode. We just kind of want to touch on a few things that, we spoke about in the past, and the idea that we're going to kind of base it off of is good versus evil, which is... I read a quote from St. Augustine. I'll pull it up now because I can't remember it. If God is good and all creation is good, then why does evil exist? Evil doesn't exist. Just like darkness doesn't exist, it's just the absence of light. Same with evil, it's just the absence of good. So it's kind of like almost like a cliche saying, like we always say, but like cliche sayings are good because...
Great.
They make sense, and there's a reason.
Sometimes.
You don't have to overcomplicate things. I find that like nowadays, where everyone's worried about what credentials you have and I don't know, the smarter something sounds, like the more validity it has.
Yeah, that makes sense. But with this and good versus evil, I think it's definitely a little more evasive, and it's not as black and white,
Yeah.
'Cause
Right. There's more to it than
like
just it
right
is what
off
it
the
is.
bat, I could just, to play devil's advocate, I could be like, yeah, well, like, I don't know, and there's some historical figures that come to mind that you're like, that dude is pure evil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's the whole point of the absence of good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, he's pure evil though, but then when you look at the fact that, say Hitler.
That's what.
Okay, yeah, when everyone thinks
Go
pure
on,
evil,
Why
yeah.
does it have to be Hitler? Why is he the number one?
I mean,
guy?
bro, he's a
Like, leave Hitler
unanimous.
alone. I can say that.
What
'cause
did he ever
I'm-
do to you? Terrible.
Like,
I can say that though. I'm Jewish, so I'm
There you
allowed.
go.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm friends with the Jews.
Yeah. No, but for real, like, you think of evil, like pure evil, it's Hitler, but now no one knows his upbringing and the
I was
you're
just
spilling.
Am I?
You were.
Village. That's the
I'm
type of.
Celeste Couch, bro. Not good. Fuck. I would have gotten fired. See that? I wouldn't have had a job.
That's the type of pod we're doing tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little something.
Yeah, that's wine.
Yeah, you're not supposed to spill wine.
Mm-mm.
But anyway.
Yeah. Back to what I was saying. Like, is the the absence of good, or in his childhood, or what led him to that point of just being, a killer and a person of like just mass destruction, and obviously one of the most
I was just gonna say
evil
like,
people
how
of
much-
all time.
How
Yeah.
much of that was nature versus nurture?
Mm.
Was it that? Was he born of pure evil? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think anyone
don't
is born
think
of,
so.
of
I don't
pure
think
evil.
so
I think people are.
But there's also like, we're just talking. I haven't looked into the upbringing of Hitler recently at all, but like, and it's funny to think like from his perspective growing up and like his mass extermination of Jews, his perception matters. Like he thought he was in the right.
No,
He
exactly.
thought that was he thought he was on the right side of history. He thought
Yep.
when talking about good versus evil, he was good.
No, and even the crazier part about that is all the people that followed him
got a whole
thought he
nation
was
behind
right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were brainwashed into the fact, and obviously this is
And the fact that it's still not completely dead today. That sort of
Exactly.
mindset, you know.
but there's so many other things that kind of relates to, where that good versus evil plays a role in almost every aspect of your life, where there's usually some good in people and then evil, and it could be the smallest things, or obviously there's larger things that play a bigger role in your life that affect
those are
you.
also two extremes, you know.
Yes.
Good and evil, you know. Good, I think, is a little more relatable. Evil is pretty extreme.
Yeah.
You know, I also
Yeah.
think, like, to switch gears maybe a little bit, or we could, get to this later, but, like, love and hate, I feel, are two extremes that are also very similar. But I think love and hate are both extreme. I feel like love and hate are two terms that are thrown out too casually sometimes. But if you really think about it, like, those are two ideas or feelings, emotions that are really extreme,
Right.
And they're more similar, I think, in some ways than they are different.
Well, you said that good is not as extreme as evil. Why?
I just think that I just feel like in everyday life, if you do a good deed,
You think that, like, are you saying there's more good in the world?
I think so, really, or maybe even like good isn't the term, when you're saying good versus, it would be like evil versus like
Right.
100% pure.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
something
right.
like that.
Like in like one of those. Ever play Fable?
No, I don't. What is that?
It's like an RPG role playing game, but in the game there's two
RPG,
like a role playing like open world.
Yeah,
where you
yeah.
get like armor and shit like that.
like a world building game.
Like a world, like something like that. Yeah. So like in the game, there's two paths you can go down. You can go down the good path or the evil path. And if you go down the evil path, you get like devil wings, and if you go down the good path, you get like a halo,
Right.
But if good is like me sharing my friend's post, that's good. But like pure is like me, like, I don't even know, like dedicating my life to something that's above me.
I guess it would be more of like good versus bad. It would be like the every day-to-day comparison.
Right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying?
yeah.
That would be, because I feel like everybody has selfish intent or selfish thoughts that
Yeah.
can be perceived as bad.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't see much evil.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
you know?
But that's the thing. Like you say, you don't see much evil, but I feel like evil is very like deceiving,
Yeah.
and the maliciousness like behind people's intents are quite evil sometimes in their own way. Yes, obviously evil. If we're talking Hitler, he's mass murdering Jewish people.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if you're talking evil, it could be the slightest bit between, you and your boys, or say you're famous and just your fans, the way that they, perceive something that you did, and just like the hate that they give you. And that brings it to the love and hate, so like how similar are those two, love and hate, good and evil?
Yeah.
Because I feel like behind every malicious act and behind every, I wouldn't say devilish, but kind of like,
Really cruel,
yeah,
insidious,
act.
sinister.
from, degrees of not that bad to obviously, killing someone is
yeah.
the worst.
Yeah.
But there's always evil behind everything, I feel like, in that aspect,
Yeah.
because we see it every day. We see it every day on social media, between people, even between friends, or people that
Yeah.
you're not that cool with. You get these subliminal hate or evil gestures that evil, like you said, is a very strong word, and it's like evil. You think devil, you think the worst, but like I said, behind these small acts, there's a little bit of evil behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, so going back to the Hitler thing and you saying there's a little bit of evil in these small acts, like I think it's important to recognize that every man, like Carl Jung was like a very famous like psychoanalyst, you know. And the only reason why I know who he is because I'm a big fan of this guy named Jordan Peterson. But he talks about Nazi Germany, and this book that was written around that time, and it was called Ordinary Men by Nietzsche, I think. And it talks about how those Nazis and Hitler, just some ordinary guys, you know, where something kind of went wrong. Basically what I'm getting at is everybody has capacity for evil.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Jung's biggest thing. He believes that inside of every person there's a shadow. That if something goes wrong, like that's why like the movie Joker was so amazing.
I was thinking about that because it's the sort of like marginalized people like this, you know, what's called like incels today. You know, when you brought up like the ordinary man who could turn on a dime and become something, you know, looking for a purpose, and that purpose may be something sinister.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing, right? Because when you're born, you're not really given a purpose. I mean, like some people believe that like women, and this might sound like sexist, but I don't believe it is, because I think what I'm about to say is beautiful. Like, you know, when a woman comes into the world, from birth, they're kind of here. You know, you could say that one of a woman's purpose is to have a child just because they can. But when you're a man, you have no purpose, right? So you spend your entire life looking for meaning, because without meaning and without purpose, life is chaotic, and we don't really necessarily know if God exists. So in order to combat the chaos and try to enjoy our time here, we look for purpose. And it's actually incredibly it's amazing to think like purpose in some people's lives isn't always good. Some people's purpose could be mass murdering, or they feel like that. I don't think that's anyone's purpose.
Right.
But you could, you know, maybe in the eyes of like the Joker, you know, he probably never felt alive and like himself until
he felt ordinary, or like Joker in particular felt a little more like fringe, but like he didn't feel like anything about him was special or, you know, worth living for, you know?
Yeah, right. Until he had that, until he put the makeup on, and then until got his first taste of blood, you know?
Well, yeah, bro, I mean, that's it's kind of like the Unabomber, even in the Richard Jewell story, like we were just talking about, where it's like these guys had nothing, you know, their whole life, and then how they tried to pin that, you know, the bomb on Richard Jewell because he was a security guy. You know, he wanted to be a cop. He kind of wasn't a cop. So the media and the journalists was like, you know what, let me throw this on him because, you know, he knew there was a bomb and then he told them, so that's why he did it. You know what I mean? This whole narrative where it's kind of insane. But
and Richard Jewell kind of perfectly fit that narrative.
Exactly. You know, a guy that lived with his mother and stuff like that. But that's like besides the point. But it's like you said, these people, the people that actually did the bombs, like they thrive off this. They live off that adrenaline rush of mass murder, or
especially once they decide to wear that cape.
Oh,
you know?
yeah,
they probably fight that for a long time. You know, they're probably, because you're not taught that evil is good. You don't get rewarded for being evil. You know, so like they probably, if they find anything inside of themselves,
I feel
I mean, I guess you don't get. I mean, it depends, and that's why it's a tricky topic and conversation. But like, also like you find, like the types of people we're talking about, like the ordinary man or like an incel, like they'll find purpose in joining up in a group of people, and sometimes that could be like a cult, a commune, or a gang. You know, like the Aryan Brotherhood or something like that. You find a lot of the times, you know, those types of men end up joining in something like that. And it could be rewarding, you know, and it could be purposeful for them.
Right.
And to them, it doesn't, I don't know, but like you would have to think that they're living something where they think is good and pure, you know, and is on the path of righteousness.
Yeah, like I agree with that, but I feel like that brings us right back to the, the initial quote where it's evil is the absence of good in the life. So it's like, yes, they join they join those
nature
brotherhoods, or
versus
they
nurture.
they join this stuff, or they do that because it's just like this is all they have, because there was nothing else, growing up, lack of parents in their life,
Yeah.
friends,
Yeah,
even playing sports. Sports for us, all three of us grew up playing sports, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can almost tell when someone was an athlete and when someone was, regardless whether they continue to play the sport.
Yeah.
Like neither of you guys play the sport anymore, you know what I mean? But you can tell you have that background, in that it just, I don't know, it just builds this kind of character in you that a lot of people don't have, that don't play sports. Not that that's knocking them at all,
No,
because it's not.
From the other perspective, you could tell sometimes. I mean, we're kind of like, I guess stereotyping people or putting people into boxes, but like, you could sometimes tell when someone was a theater kid or someone was a band kid. And that's all about finding like-minded people when you're, growing up and coming of age. And the types of guys we're talking about are people like, sometimes they don't always find that until later in life, and there's a lot of loneliness and stuff, and that's when they turn to these more, insidious acts and ways of life.
I think about, like, I remember when I think I was like 7 years old. It was like Oakwood. It was like one of the first days at Oakwood. And I remember this girl like freaking out, like she wanted her parents, like freaking out. And I didn't understand that because I was totally fine just hanging out with everyone. And then when I was about 21, I started getting those panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of made me think, like, kids deal with some dark stuff. Like, I was blessed to not deal with anxiety or depression, or I felt safe and secure at school. I didn't miss my parents. But I know kids that, like I met this girl at the beach this summer, beautiful girl. And no, I mean, well, outside looking in, bro, beautiful girl. Like,
Okay.
you would think, like Mrs. All American. Like, you
Right.
would think, like, she's got everything figured out. She's going to med school, And I was talking to her, and something came up in conversation. And she was like, "Yeah, no, I'm bipolar." I go, "Oh, you're bipolar? Like tell me about that. Like, walk me through that." And then she goes, "Well, it started when I was 12."
Wow.
And I go, "Wow." So that's going back to this conversation. I feel like those are the moments where an ordinary man or woman, given the right circumstances, can fall from grace, maybe.
Right. And also, like, you said she's had it since what? She was
12. So
she's
grew up.
had, some experience dealing with that. And, like, you seem like you were surprised when she told you that, because she has a way of, and everyone's different, I guess, but like she's learned to like mask that in some ways, whereas like you or me, where we grew up feeling fine, and then we don't feel any real anxiety or depression until our 20s. That could have like a crazy effect on our lives, and if growing up you don't have any structure, or like you have a broken family or something, that could all fuel all of that.
Yeah. So are you saying do you think it's worse for something mentally haunting to happen when you're our age, or when you're growing up?
No, I'm saying, like, we take it for granted sometimes, and we don't empathize with people, and like we don't learn that trait until we're much older. If you're lucky.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yes, that's big, bro.
If you're lucky, but also, and I feel like that's things of life you need to learn. I guess I'm a believer also, and to some degree, is like good things come from some sort of I don't want to say anything too extreme, but good things come from like hardship sometimes.
We speak about
we
that
speak
every
a lot.
every
We talk about it a
episode,
lot.
bro. There's no such thing as failures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hardship.
Because
And
these
I want to be careful.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to say from like a tragedy, because that's, some people really go through that, and it's like when I say that, it sounds like, oh, you know, and I'm not
You're
saying
being pompous. You're not
I'm
understanding.
saying like, oh, like I need a tragedy to learn
Yeah.
more about life. No, it's not. But sometimes you need to get uncomfortable and go through something and you know, go out on a limb sometimes to really learn and build yourself and character, you know, and learn and empathize with other people in other situations.
I mean, I'm seeing it right now with, you know, like, you're probably the most empathetic when you're going through something. You know, that's the time when you're like...
And that's
you're most vulnerable.
Thing.
No, you're most vulnerable 100%.
You'll
you know
notice
what I mean?
if someone's going through something, if they're like, yo, man, how are you? Are you good? Like, how... Because I've been in those stages, you know, where I'll be going through something and then I'll constantly be letting my boys know, like, hey, man, like, I love you guys, you know, like, recently my aunt, bro, she's going through divorce. Husband left out. We've talked about it, you know, Aunt Celine, and she's going through a divorce, bro, and bro, it's fucking bad. It's like I've never seen any like this level of mental torment. You know, she's going through it, and I've read a bunch of books on I guess awareness and consciousness and your mind and the difference between the self, like the difference between your ego and then like a deeper rooted self. So I can kind of see what her mind is doing to her.
But also sometimes it's stuff you can't learn in a book or in a textbook. You know what I'm saying? You have to like you're saying you're shocked and you haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
Because until you see that or witness it, like you can't actually know what it's like, you know.
Yes.
And that's just what I was just saying, like that's what I was talking about with empathy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No. So I think where I was going with that was just I look at her sometimes in almost like disgust, just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, get your shit together. And I'm not saying that for her sake. I'm saying it for her kid's sake.
No, for real.
You know, but at the same time, I remember what it was like when I had to have my mom hold my hand when I was going to bed as a 22-year-old college football player. Mm-hmm. And then it brings me back to don't say what I was going to say. Show a little bit more empathy. But I'm genuinely at a loss for words when it comes to that situation because I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree because that's it. Unless you're in those shoes, you know what I mean? Or unless you understand truly what that person's going through, it's easy for you to say that. Like, what are you doing? I look at it all the time, you know what I mean? Or say it all the time with friends of mine, family, you know what I mean? Something like that. Like, what are you doing? Or like, why are you acting like that? Or what? But, you know what I mean? And then if you really take a step back and you really think about what you're really saying, you have no idea what that person's feeling because there's times in your life where you felt like shit, you know what I mean? And someone else is probably from the outside looking in like, oh, this kid's acting like, you know what I mean? Why is he acting like that? Why are you doing like that? But, bro, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? No one can tell you how you feel and how, you know what I mean? How to react to situations or how to handle situations. And obviously with the situation going on over there, you know what I mean? You haven't dealt with a divorce in your life yet. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like something like that, something of that seriousness. Yeah. So it's hard for you, like you said. So like once you realize like, all right, let me not do that. Yeah. That's, you know what I mean? That's what you got to do. I feel like, especially as a person, as someone that's trying to help people, because that's what I try to do a lot. I try to speak to a lot of people and listen to a lot of people. And, you know, in my life, a lot of people come to me with their shit, you know what I mean? And shit they have going on. And, you know what I mean? Not that it's almost a form of therapy, but it's something that, you know what I mean? I like that because, you know what I mean? If people can trust that they can tell me what they got going on, you know what I mean? They feel comfortable telling me that. I feel, you know what I mean? That makes me feel okay, where it's like, okay, now I can give you advice that I feel like is going to help you, whether you take it with it, you know what I mean, whether you do anything with it or you know, one ear and out the other, that's, you know what I mean, that's a different story. But at least if I could be there for someone, and you know what I mean, that's all you can do in that situation, for real.
And something you were saying, I don't know if this is what you were saying exactly, but I think you said something to the effect of like, when you're going through something, you could be more empathetic. Yeah. And I've felt that when like I've had like, you know, I've went through a trying time in my life, and I don't know what it was, or if it was just me, but like I felt more in tune with like my emotions and stuff, and I would feel more
like the
emotional.
Grinch, your heart was growing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
two sizes too big, but like or like, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like sometimes when I'm like that, and then I'm like, when I'm like around people and like, I don't know, like I just want to like sit there and be like, yo, like, I just want to like, I want you to know I'm like going through something. You know what I'm saying? You want to tell someone and like let them know.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
But like you're just trying to like reach out and like be connected in a deeper way. But then sometimes like you're fine and like you don't even think twice about it.
A few moments later.
Welcome back. Little break. We were just getting into I believe openness is what you said.
Yeah. I just wanted to. I don't exactly remember exactly what we were talking about, but I think it was something along the lines of Sam was saying that when you're going through a tough time, when you're speaking to someone, you almost kind of want to let them know, like, hey, I'm going through a tough time, and like what I've noticed, bro, is like, and I think that anyone that's hung out with me in the past year that hasn't seen me for a while can attest to this. Is conversation becomes less about, how is your material life, like how's your job, and more about like how are you, and I because I've been through, the only reason why I can even speak, like I can't, like I think like 3 years ago I was just speaking on like football and girls, and now like we're talking about good versus evil. We were on podcasts about 10 spiritual laws, and I've read a bunch of Eastern books, and now it seems like whenever I talk to someone, it seems like we're actually talking, rather than like
Talking about something.
Yeah, like if you like, what I've noticed is like when people come up to you and they ask how are you, you say good and you move on. I'd be like,
right.
Is it good? How are you? It's
Yeah.
like a default answer.
Yes,
I hate that.
Yeah, I like to just be like, man, how am I, huh?
Right.
What a day I've had,
Or like what you were saying, like people ask like, oh, what do you do? You'll see someone and be like, oh, what are you up to? What are you doing? And they're asking like, what are you doing with school, with the job, with with work, whatever it is.
Especially like older people.
Right, definitely. And
Yeah.
you feel obligated to say.
Now, yeah.
But like sometimes I just want to be like, I'm doing this right now, right here. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, I love that. I am doing this.
Exactly.
I'm standing in your kitchen. Wow.
My feet are planted right here in front of you.
And dude, congratulations to you, bro, for being on that type of way of thinking, because I mean,
sometimes I preach more than I practice.
No, of course, bro. But
We all do. We all do, bro.
Even if you know, like, it's better for you to know it than not.
Yeah.
Just be oblivious to it. But hey, man, like this is just like sometimes I get, I guess, arrogant when it comes to like spiritual stuff, because I was about to go into like a like all of the problems of the future, all the problems are in the future and the past, so if you could be here now, that's good, but realistically, like that's the best answer. Like oh, like how are you doing in life? Oh, I'm great, this kitchen is beautiful and it smells nice in here, like I'm gonna start answering like that. How are you?
Yeah.
About like the things
Like
that
the
are
things in the room, yeah.
surrounding, like the immediate things,
Yeah.
the immediate task or activity that you're doing.
Right, because if someone asks you how are you, you say how your ego is, like how the self that you almost say like how your Instagram self is doing.
I was just gonna say, like, I wonder how much of that, people of our age, growing up and being molded by having phones in our hands and being on social media a good amount of the time, how much of that fuels it, because a lot of the times it's on Instagram, on Twitter, on Snapchat, whatever it is, you're mostly posting some sort of flex or like what you're doing, good eats, whatever it is, like, and there's some people out there that will, share, experiences and hardships too. Sometimes I think maybe it's oversharing, which is good sometimes, but I feel like we just get wrapped up too much.
Like oversharing, like they're just looking for attention at that point?
Sometimes, but yeah, definitely. But I think they're could be some good in that, for that individual. They could be looking for something to make them feel better. If that helps with whatever depression or anxiety is they're dealing with at that point, reaching out, on a platform like Twitter, to a bunch of strangers, that could be helpful.
Yeah, I have a question about that I just kind of thought about, and it kind of relates to myself as well. So when someone passes away, right? And why do people, even myself, like, and I've posted obviously a lot about my mother, but it's just like, say someone passes or a tragedy happens, why do people feel the need to post about it now that they're gone? And they say the term is, give people their flowers while they're here.
Yeah.
And I never understood that. And I guess it's a sign of respect and love, which I get 100%. Yeah. But it's crazy just to see the amount of love that people receive after they're gone. Like, not that Kobe wasn't loved when he was here, but obviously it's times 100 of what he had. Pop Smoke, you know what I mean? Look at all the Chadwick. Yeah, like look at these people. Mac Miller. Like, look at all these people that
couldn't get through the podcast without mentioning Mac.
Oh yeah, huge fan.
That's my brand.
Mac Miller almost, I could say, like, raised us, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mac Miller was a guy that changed our lives. He literally was a,
because he was an artist at a time where we were developing as young adolescents and teenagers, young adults.
Yeah,
that was our coming of age.
No, Mac Miller kind of set the bar for us, where not that we're rappers or musicians, but he kind of set the bar that it was just like the everyday
creative spark that we don't even know about.
No, exactly. That's what I'm getting at, where it's like the everyday average Joe, you know what I mean? He was a white dude in Pittsburgh that grew up with Wiz Khalifa and Darrell Revis, and he just got it, you know what I mean? But
he's also such a good human being, like, because creatively he was so about his music and his craft and stuff, but also, like, after when he passed, hearing about all these people in the music industry, like, talk about him, and talk about, like, how pure of a soul he was, how good outside of music, how good of a human being he was, is also inspiring to someone like me who doesn't, like, express themselves creatively like that.
Right.
It just tells me, like, to be a better person.
Yeah, no, because and that's exactly what I'm getting at, where it's like, it took his passing for everyone to realize how good of a person he was, or how much of an impact he left on this earth. And I feel like we as people, we take life for granted for the most part. Every day, we do, at some point in the day, you do take it for granted, and you don't think about how, how lucky we are to be here, or how lucky we are to have certain people in our life. And you take other people for granted even more than you take, life itself for granted. And it takes the passing of someone to realize how much how important they were to you.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. You know what I mean? Where I do it myself, but I feel like we as people, like, we have to do that, bro. Give people their flowers while they're here. And I see it all the time on social media. I see, obviously, as some of these big people have started to pass, in these past few years, people have started to do that. But I feel like not just celebrities, man. Give your friends and loved ones the flowers while they're here, because, man, once they're gone, they're gone.
And it's sudden too, like the Kobe, Mac, Pop Smoke, like, those are people who, like, no one expected for it to happen when it did.
No,
it was like a complete shock.
It felt fake. It felt fake.
Which,
and
like, that could be the teachable lesson coming out of it, is, like, to be, like you're saying, to appreciate your friends and your loved ones around you more. But also, like, I think grieving is an interesting thing, because, like, there's no right or wrong way, I think. I mean, maybe there's a wrong way, but I don't know, maybe there's not. But, like, grieving is an interesting thing, like, it's not normal sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, people expect you to act a certain way when someone, like, I see that with some celebrities, like, some people will like, yo, why didn't you like speak about this person when they died or whatever? And it's like, yo, just because I'm not saying something on social media doesn't mean I'm not feeling, sadness, or I'm not grieving,
No, absolutely.
So there's no normalcy to that.
Yeah, no, I felt that because I mean, Nick probably knows, but there was a kid yesterday. He passed away from Long Island. He was a Uniondale basketball player, Jojo Wright. I'd never met him, never spoke to him. Seen him on social media a few times, but he passed away in a car accident yesterday, bro. 15 years old, and he was really good, man. Like he was really good. He had a very bright future, and it's just so sad that life like that can be just taken from you. A kid that
15.
at 15, in a car accident at 2 p.m. in broad daylight, and man, like obviously life is precious, but like I see everyone like. And I feel like the reason we take life for granted because you don't think it's ever going to happen to you. And that's the thing that I feel we have to accept, that it may be it may be us one day, or it may be your best friend one day, or it may be a brother one day, sister, mother, whoever it is. It may be one of them one day. So that analogy as, giving people their flowers while they're here, it's hard. No one thought that kid was going to pass yesterday. And just watching social media and seeing how it affected just the local people in Long Island, the local hoop community in Long Island, bro, it hurt me. Like I was just like, wow. Like this kid he was all New York State as a sophomore, bro, on varsity, all New York State as a sophomore, bro. It hurts. I didn't even know the kid. I didn't know his family. I didn't know anything about the kid. But I just now I got, and it hurt me. But
I mean that's empathy, and
yeah,
that's growing up and maturing too. Like, 'cause someone like Kobe, like I had no personal connection to him, but like I know you guys, you did, and other friends of mine did, and I always knew Kobe, and then just seeing him and like. Not so much even with the basketball, just like him as a parent, him with his daughter. Yeah. Like, man, that like I would just find myself crying over that, and I'm like, I never had any real passion about this guy in any sort of way, but then I would feel like hurt about it, because it was really devastating.
Yeah, bro, I cried for weeks. Cried for weeks, bro.
With Kobe.
Yeah, really? Bro. I just sat on Twitter, bro, and I would watch interviews, people speaking about it. Like T-Mac speaking about it was the worst one. That was because him and Kobe used to have some battles. AI really hit me hard as well. I mean, obviously his wife, speaking about it hurt. Michael Jordan speaking about it hurt. But someone that you've never met, bro, I cried for weeks. I cried for weeks on end. You know what I mean? Where even when we lost Jason, I cried for weeks on end. Obviously, my mom, I cried for a while, but it, like those shits, it hurts, and losing someone like that. But I feel like the moral of the story and the bigger picture of what I was getting at was just like, bro, appreciate the people we have in our lives now, and don't take anything for granted because. That kid, that kid Jojo, he was on his way to work out, bro. He was on his way to a workout. Mm-hmm. He was on his way. Like, it hurts even saying that. How many workouts have you been in the car with your boys on your way to?
A lot. A lot of reckless driving, pre-workout, loud music.
How much dumb shit have you done?
Think about it, and this kid was on his way to get better at a thing he loves, and his life was just taken from him. And... it's sad, bro. That's the only word that can be really said for a situation like that, and all these situations. A helicopter, Kobe and Gianna were on his way to work out. They were on their way to practice, to get better at the thing that they love.
And like, wasn't that helicopter driver his helicopter driver for years or something like that?
His helicopter driver for years. But they decided to fly in the fog when no one else was flying.
Yeah.
And super sad situation, and unfortunate situation. But man, let's not take these people for granted. And his wife Vanessa, she just thought her husband and daughter were just going to practice, and what are they going to eat for lunch when they get back?
Yeah.
And they're gone. And that thought of death is it's almost cliche as well, if that's kind of weird to say, where it's like, you hear it all the time. Oh, he died. Oh, he passed away. He died. But when you're by yourself at night and you really sit down and think about the word death and
what it means.
and what it truly means, where that person passed away when he died, and then I even think about it with my mom all the time.
You don't think about you just hear the word death.
You think the word death, and we're so accustomed to it. We just kind of let it fly by.
Desensitized by
Yeah, the word death, where he died, she died.
It's a scary thing.
Bro,
It's
it's
a dark-
terrifying.
a
It's
dark thing
terrifying.
Thinking about what happens after death. And I'm not really a religious person in any way, shape, or form. So even if that has anything to do with it, but like after you live, like
You're not promised the golden gates.
if that's even a thing, yeah.
Well, that's yeah.
So if
I'm not
you
saying it is. I'm just
right,
saying
if you believe in that, then you have that I don't get in my life.
Right.
If that's if someone tomorrow says like, oh yeah, it's proven that if you're religious, like you live on and
If we all knew
And
that,
the great
life
beyond.
would be way different.
right.
If we knew heaven was real, life would be way different. There'd be a lot of more people, living a lot differently.
Yeah.
If heaven was guaranteed. But I feel like that's the intriguing and
Or like even something other than heaven, just having some sort of
clarity. Yeah.
consciousness or something, like that you could watch over or still view the world. The thing that scares me most about that topic is just like the lights being turned off completely. Nothing, darkness.
Yeah, but you wouldn't even know it happened.
Right, but then what is that? This podcast is taking a really dark turn. But like,
We can go. I'm
Yeah,
down.
no, I
it's
think
just,
about
like,
that all the
it's
time.
so weird to me.
It's crazy. I don't even like thinking about it.
No,
I don't even like thinking about
I've
it.
had some like really weird trips like when I was high and like I remember it was funny because I was watching A Christmas Carol, which is Ebenezer Scrooge, and like he dies and he the ghosts of Christmas past.
Right.
I
Right.
remember I was really high once and I'm watching that and then all of a sudden it made me like even more high and I started tripping out and thinking about I forget which ghost it was specifically,
Yeah.
but it made me think about that and I was like tripping out high thinking about death and like what it means and like am I just in a void? Like I think about that. I think it was in SpongeBob. He's in like that white void,
Yeah.
and he's just like going in circles, right?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
I think so.
And
Yes.
I'm like, even that is just terrifying.
Yeah.
Your mind would break.
Yeah, bro. Death and space, just like outer space, just like it makes you like almost like cringy because like it's just that uncertainty of knowledge on what is it. I always think all the time, just like kind of like a joking. I always just wonder like, obviously way past our lifetimes, but like, do you think the world will ever come to like a Star Wars kind of age?
I'm worried for the world as it is. No, I am.
I don't blame you, brother.
But just
Yeah.
you guys have both seen Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like flying jets, these robes, lightsabers, all this next stuff. A guy like Yoda.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a movie and it's a little far fetched, but think about how far. This is what I think about a lot. Think about how far we've came from the year 2000 to 2021.
2007, bro. The iPhone was created.
That's what I'm saying. Like when
Also
was
think about like in the 60s, like and 70s, like
that
futures like were way different than like
but
the future.
but the
is
thing
now.
is with me, like with the 60s and 70s, They thought by the year 2000, like, there was going to be flying cars.
Right.
Obviously, we know, you know what I mean? Technology obviously is super advanced, but it's not on that spectrum yet.
Right.
Where
It's just like Elon Musk and that's it. Really.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, where
fighting that fight.
it's
I don't know, man. There's some weird. You go on your Snapchat
Yeah.
news.
I'm not really on social media like that, so
No, I'm kidding.
No, there's
I
a
don't
lot.
check my Snapchat news. You know.
No, there's really a lot,
I mean,
but
if we wanted to sit down and get a laptop out, you know, and break down all of the insane scientific advancements that we've made, like, don't we have an AI girl walking around that has a full-blown consciousness?
oh yeah.
She got a consciousness, a robot with
you know,
consciousness.
Right now we're just, filming a podcast with mics and stuff, and you guys just all this is stuff that's been around, but like, you were able to purchase this stuff and get it and
Right, it was accessible.
set it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
This, like computers used to be the size of this space we're in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
they'd
they're
only
on
have
our,
one at like
they're
10
on our
universe
phones
centers.
literally. Like
Yeah.
that's a computer,
yeah.
Yeah, no, so for me, bro, when I shot that wine podcast with Q, one of the things that I was kind of most disappointed about in that episode was basically how I have this other podcast where like I read like a page in a book and I discuss it. So the page in the book that I was talking about talked about it was from this book called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, and it was written in the 70s, and it's widely regarded as one of the best philosophy books of all time.
Okay.
Like if you take like a philosophy class, you'll probably read this book. And he talks about he's on this road trip with his son, and the book is like a big meditation. It's like you're meditating while you read this book. It's very peaceful, whatever. But anyway, he talks about technology. The main character of the book talks about technology and the advancements that we've made, and he talks about how we are so concerned with what's new. Every year a new car comes out. Literally every year. Like, isn't it crazy? Like we need a new car every year. A new car comes out every year. A new iPhone comes out every year. A new microphone comes out every year. I'm gonna buy the new camera just dropped. I'm gonna buy a new camera. But the real question that we should be focusing on is what's best. And that's why I'm scared for the future. Because I think that we've gotten away from what's best. What's best is kind of what we're doing right now. This technology is okay. We'll be able to share it, hopefully better people's lives. But I think what's best is conversating is what's best. Fucking opera music. Like really sitting down, listening to opera music. That's probably amazing. Or playing an instrument.
Where you're saying like real person-to-person connections rather than like virtual,
artificial, virtual connection.
That's the danger, is like AI.
Yes, but I'm not even just talking about human connection. I'm talking about what are we doing to our chemistry in our brain? Like when, there's this one quote that says like you could tell that a person is like happy or enlightened if they could sit in a room alone. Like think about that. What technology has done to a person is a man has lost his ability to sit in a room alone and be content, because we're so used to constant stimulation. To now, like most people can't read books, and books are so much richer, bro, than movies. Now shows are cool because they can be like 7 or 8 episodes, but like a book is so much richer than the movie because you have the ability to paint the characters or how it's gonna look. It touches into your imagination that has been around for a long time. But now we have these things like TikTok that just overblast us with stimulation, and they play with our dopamine and our serotonin.
With quick hits too. It's quick. It's not long. It's enough to stimulate you for a short clip of time.
To where now everyone thinks that they have ADHD.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was having anxiety, one of the things that really helped me out was going for walks. Just going for a walk. Very enjoyable, bro. You get to really, like you said before, like instead of focusing on what you were doing in your material life, you were focusing on the trees. Like, wow, this is a beautiful night. It smells great. Man, like, maybe you can even contemplate, maybe you said something wrong to your parents. Maybe you contemplate that. Like, a walk can be so beneficial, but But when you're used to going on your phone all the time, then it makes the walk isn't special anymore. The book isn't special anymore. The interaction isn't special anymore. The having sex with a girl isn't special anymore because of things like porn. You know what I'm saying? Like that one might be a little overemphasized, but
no, that's a whole different conversation. I feel like sexual expectations have been altered because of our access to porn. You know?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by we focus on what's new and instead should be focusing on what's best.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that you bring up too. I mean, I think, I myself am someone who will sit and like ponder on things and just like analyze things, and like even when I watch movies, like I make sure, like I was telling you before, like I'd make it a point to like turn my phone off or like turn it down, so I'm like invested in something and I'm not, stimulating myself in like 3 different ways at once, But like, we live in an age where like we constantly need to be entertained by something. We can't, like you're saying, most people our age, I feel like, can't just take their dog for a walk in the park and like no podcast, no music, just go and walk and just be in nature for an hour.
People would probably feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I feel it.
Because it's unnatural to them now.
Yeah.
Because we've lived with technology since we were little kids. Like, we were molded by it.
We were born. We were like one of the first groups to be born in that. Yeah.
It would be an interesting study to do, and I'm sure there's studies being done on it, to see the effect of us growing up with this new technology, because it is still very new.
Well, what I would love to do is just share what I know about that, and this is something that's been on my mind. It's been on my mind heavily, bro, because for the most part, I'm a sunshine and rainbows type of guy. I'm a very positive, optimistic type of guy. But recently, bro, I've been feeling like I've been getting signs from somewhere that social media, because I've had a tough time with social media. Like, I put up a post today. Dude, I probably was on my phone for 7 hours today.
Yeah, dude, sometimes you need that break, man.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Little pee break.
Break.
As we come to a close with this episode, obviously we've touched on numerous amount of topics and ideologies and opinions, whatever it may be. A question I have for y'all is, what is something you guys would tell your younger self?
Oh.
This could be an entire episode itself, but I love this question because, I wish I had the knowledge I had now. And me and you and Albert touched on that in episode 10. What's some things you guys would tell your younger self that obviously would benefit your life in the future, but at 18, you didn't know you were going to be a filmmaker. You know what I mean? You had no idea where you guys were going to be.
Yeah.
So what's some advice you guys would give yourselves at 18 if you could go back, say at 23 and rewind 5 years and be like, hey, do this, and what do you think would be different?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably start with something like, you dumb piece of shit. I don't know, man. Where to begin? Like,
it's a tough question.
Yeah.
It is, but it's great.
Often,
it's great.
I think, because it's like the idea of like, and me and you have talked about this a lot in the past, of like, if you had like all the knowledge and wherewithal you do now, put that into your 12 to 15-year-old self, like where that would take you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like the advice, because I was a pretty cynical and closed off kid. I wasn't like unpopular or anything, whatever that even means, but like I just thought I was like cooler than a lot of things. I thought I was above things, like I didn't take anything seriously.
Too cool for school.
Sports and like
yeah.
School, like I would like go and I would wear like sweatsuits every day. Like, like it's like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
You didn't like the sweatsuit look?
No, but it would, like, there's a sweatsuit look, but then there's like a schlubby look where you just don't care, and like I would try to, give some flair to it, but like it would be to care more. It would be to try different things. It would be to, try different avenues and like diversify your life in all different ways, in a nutshell, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great advice.
But I was so, like, even with sports, like, I never, I thought if, like, you tried hard at a sport, like, that wasn't cool. So I would always try to take, like, I would try to be the clown of the team, or, you know what I'm saying, and just mess around.
The
and
cool
stuff.
guy route.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's nothing to me. But, like, what I know now is, like, caring about stuff is cool, caring about school and academics and stuff, like, that stuff is cool. Being an idiot and, like, just partying on the weekends and not caring about anything is so uncool,
Do you think that cool guy, kind of reference and cool guy kind of, personality, do you think that's a, I don't know, like the reasoning behind that was because you were kind of like, I don't know, not the word, I wouldn't say self-conscious, but kind of like, it kind of gave you like a
buffer.
Yeah, like where you're like, all right, if this shit doesn't work out, I didn't really give my all into this. I kind of just gave, I'm still good because like if I did give it my all, I would have made it.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people give that ideology where they're like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go all in on this. I'm just going to kind of like half-ass it, kind of be cool in it. You know what I mean? Kind of give it a little.
Yeah, you were that guy.
I was.
Yeah,
you
but
were that guy.
but there's a lot of people like that.
I can only attest for in the sports realm, like, you were good at lacrosse, but you didn't try.
Right. I never, and like, I think about it often where I'm like, even if it didn't take me anywhere, I miss it sometimes because I'm like, I didn't like it for certain reasons, but like, I miss playing sports. I miss being there, but and I'll tell you exactly why, because you're absolutely right. It's like that fail-safe of like, if I fail at this, if I embarrass myself, it's okay. I come out unscathed because I didn't try anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care anyway. I was making a joke of this anyway.
Yeah.
And it's because of I was insecure. And I'm incredibly insecure. I'm still insecure today. I'm more open about it and I could recognize it today. But like back then, it's just you put on these masks to try, or this persona to try to hide that, but but to care, I don't know where I was going with that, but
No, I agree 100%, bro. Like I can agree with that, and on a crazy level where you do things sometimes and you don't put your all into them, and like you said, it's that fail-safe where you feel like, all right, if this shit doesn't work out, I really didn't go all in on it. So, if it's that cockiness or kind of like, persona that if I did that, you know what I mean? Like, I would have made it, you know what I mean? I would have made it. And we know so many people like that, like, even me in the basketball world, like, oh yeah, like, I would have went Division I if I would have worked out, you know what I mean? If I would have really did this, I had, and shit, maybe you would have, maybe you did have the talent, or maybe, and obviously, bro, it goes way larger than sports. It goes so much larger than sports. Think about someone half-assing filming. Obviously, you love film, you know what I mean? You love films, you love the, the art of film. And you yourself are a filmmaker. Yeah. Now, what if someone's like, damn, if I would have, I would have put in more time with that, or if I would have invested a little more money in my equipment, or if I would have took a few more classes, I could have been, a big time filmmaker. But it doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that, and I feel
we always do that where we're like, if I had the, the resources that person did, right? If I had that, I could have done that and been better at it.
That's what everyone does.
Yeah.
I love hearing it.
I hate the word if. I hate the word if.
It's a scary word.
I hate the word if because it happens so much in everything. Obviously, sports plays a big role in my life, and I hear it all the time. if so and so had this person on their team, or I'm like, bro, you're just throwing the word if in there. It's not there, so it didn't happen, and I feel like you can relate to that. Oh, if I had all the equipment Jake had, you know what I mean? I could. No, you don't, because one, you don't have the equipment. The word if is meaningless, and so many people use it as another, fail-safe where it makes them feel comfortable. Yeah, if I had this stuff, it makes them feel confident in the shit that they haven't accomplished, they haven't done, and nor will they do in the future.
And it's armor too. Like, people who know me, like, I have a very like sarcastic sense of humor, and like I often like don't take anything seriously, or I'll always joke, but really it's born out of my insecurities and stuff, like I can't sometimes sit and have a real conversation, one-on-one, but like in groups and stuff, like and one of my good buddies actually, like, he gets mad at me because he'll say something to me and I'll make a joke out of it, and he'd be like, yo, like, why do you do that? And like me and him are good friends where I tell him, like, yo, like, it's just like a reflex of mine, and it comes out of my insecurities. But like I still, even though I'm aware of it, I still do it, and it's something that like me personally I have to work on. But it's this armor you put on to protect yourself from failure and embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a stupid way to go about life.
Very stupid.
Ouch.
I'm on the opposite side of the coin.
Ouch.
Well, you said you would have said that to your younger self. So,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You know what it is, man? Like I've realized that the only way to be the best at anything is to do the work.
No, and you're right. Like, you're right, because it is a stupid way to live.
Yeah.
Like, it is.
Yeah.
And that is the way to go about life. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. If you're trying to be hyper successful or good, even just be good at something, because bro, like, I don't like the if thing, like what if, and you know me, bro, I'm a big believer in individual power. I think that the individual is a very powerful being, and we're taught by our teachers and our society and our parents and our fucking ex-girlfriends that we're schlubs, like we're not anything. But I don't believe that, man. I believe that I control the if. I set the fucking tone. You know what I'm saying? Like I wake up every day. I choose to film make. I go to the gym. I spread positivity into this world, and I believe that God has a hand in some of these things. But to be honest with you, man, I don't believe the if holds any validity. I think that you can take control of that, and don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, there's a what if moment. What if my back didn't get injured? Maybe I would have went to the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
But that's not, the if isn't a thing to celebrate, like to be upset about. The if is something to celebrate. Thank God my back got hurt, because I have less CTE now than I would have had if I kept playing football. And it's the same thing with other people's lives. What if your husband didn't cheat on you? You might not see the result of that right now, and it's very tough, and I'm very sorry, and I pray to God you can get through it. But what if that never happened, so you never met Steve 5 years later, who was your actual twin flame? You know what I'm saying? So that's my view on that type of mindset. Is I just believe that anything worthwhile, there's no shortcut. Anyone would tell you, man. And I believe that in order to get towards those mountains, those desired destinations, you have to put the work in, and that's what I like to do in my life, and I recommend other people do if they want to be great at something.
Yeah, even great, or even just for peace of mind, even just to be okay with yourself. Because I feel like not everybody is looking to be greatly successful or famous, or not those things are mutually exclusive, but
right.
Just to be okay with yourself, and to love yourself.
Yeah.
Because something I find with myself is sometimes like, self-loathing, and I find it hard to like love myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, some days I do, but some days I'm just like very angry at myself, and it's like the previous discussion of like what love and hate actually is and like what that means.
Right.
But it's always a constant battle.
Yeah, no, I think about that sometimes too. It was like, do I have to achieve things to be happy with myself? Is that like what happiness is? Because I mean, I know scientifically there's been studies done on people that are let me go in here in my brain and actually try to find, I think it's something along the lines of like, people that are higher in the dominance hierarchy often are happier, have hotter wives, or have less stress, live longer.
Okay.
So I think about that with my life sometimes. It's like, am I really happy because I'm really happy, or am I really happy because I'm doing so fucking well, materially? And that's a scary thing, because if it's all taken away, then what do I have left?
Right. There's no happiness after that.
Yeah.
There's really nothing left to
Tangible,
grasp.
material things.
But that's why it's like, for me, like, it's not about chasing the pursuit of a career. It's about chasing the pursuit of meaning.
That's everything to me, I feel like.
We talked about it with Scorsese, bro.
Yeah.
Like when you jump into Martin Scorsese's masterclass, if you don't know about masterclass, research it. It's fucking great.
This podcast is brought to you by Masterclass.
Yes. Dude, so fucking yeah, so anyway, man, Scorsese brings up on the first episode of Masterclass, he's like, "Hey, this is if you're watching this because you like to make money in film, don't watch this."
Yeah.
He's like, if you're watching this because you have to tell a story and you like to do so through film, then this could be for you.
It's the furthest thing one, right? That's what he says.
Yeah.
Dude, it's inspiring as fuck, bro.
That's why Scorsese is my guy, and I always try to tell people,
bro, he's dope.
Because people like pigeonhole him as like, yo, he's the mob guy. I'm like, no, he's not. Like, he's a lover of cinema, and like he's just he's at the top of his craft still. At however old he is, 80-something years old.
Insane.
And he's so much about promoting creativity. Whatever that if you're a filmmaker or musician, anything he says could inspire you in whatever creative space you are. Because what you're saying is like, if you're doing this for success and fame, like, what does that mean in the end? It has to be something deep in you that you're passionate about, you know? Because sometimes, and everything else, is good and fun, fame, whatever, money. But what really drives someone, or should drive you, is to create something. Your passion to create.
Is to tell your story.
Right.
However, with whatever medium that your story decides to be presented by. One thing that I feel in my life is although I worry that a lot of my happiness can come from these material things, I kind of think that if everything was taken away, but if I was still doing film, I'd still be happy, because I'd still be telling my story. And I think that is extremely important for anyone watching this podcast, or even for everyone in this room. It's like, hey, like, just tell your story. Figure out what that thing is. It could be the weirdest thing in the world, but if it's yours,
And it also, maybe even for some people, you don't have to necessarily, if you feel more vulnerable about your story, or about however you create things, you don't have to necessarily put it out in the world.
Right.
But it's important to tackle that part of the mind and soul, and utilize it,
No,
but
for real.
My thing is you're right. Like, you don't have to put it out into the world. I think
was just saying, like, everyone's different. Like, if you want to do that, it's good, but you don't have to.
No, for sure. But I think, like, one of the shitty things is, like, we live in a society that, you kind of need money, and if your story is knitting, like, chances are you can make a lot of money knitting. You know, chances are there's a way to monetize some of these things. So we're speaking on two different things. I just wanted to kind of capitalize on that moment and say, if anybody's watching this and is into something like knitting, like if you just quit your job at the Bon facility and you start knitting, chances are you're gonna knit some badass stuff. People are gonna like it, and you'll make a lot of money doing it.
Yeah. Bro, that's the, almost exact reason why I started this podcast, because, it's all about the journey. And
Right.
obviously, I was even on the phone with you the other night, I closed out the introductory statement where, it's not about the destination, it's all about the journey. And, I feel even in this episode, this is your fifth episode on my podcast out of 13.
Cool.
This is number 5, but obviously this is number 1. Obviously we've talked about so many different topics on this episode, and we spoke about so many different things. But think about how much, like you said, talking about your story, thinking about how much you've spoke about from within, that in these words that you've put out there, relate to you, or how much you're really kind of speaking of your own word in the words that you're relaying. You don't think about it when you're saying the stuff, and I do it obviously myself, but these are internal thoughts that we feel and internal feelings that we feel, that are just kind of like, it's almost in your subconscious where, you don't think about it, whatever, but then when you get on a mic in front of a camera and you talk about it, this is how you really feel. Think about all the real shit that you feel. And, bro, this is all part of your journey. This is all a part of, who you're becoming, who you are to become.
Right.
And it's kind of cool to think about where, I can't wait for us to look back, 10 years from now when we're 33, 34, when we go back and watch these podcasts and we're exactly who we wanted to be, or it could be completely not who we thought we were going to be. It's kind of cool to think about. But, bro, the journey is just such a cliche saying, and I feel like I use the word cliche a lot, but it's an awesome word because it's cliche for a reason.
Yep.
And the journey is something I feel we all have to embrace. And once you start talking about the work that you do is the story that you're telling.
Yeah.
Bro, that's the journey. A movie is a journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey about a character from start to finish.
Yeah.
Your life is a journey from start to finish.
Right.
And everything, bro, a podcast, a day at work,
Yeah.
a game.
Yeah.
Bro, it's all about a journey. And I feel the journey is one of the most fitting terms in life
Yeah.
in general.
Because you say it's cliche, but the more you say it, and as people watch and listen to this podcast, like, it gives it actual real meaning to
Mhm.
it. It's, you're not just saying the journey to say it, like, you're actually doing something with it and giving people this platform to tell their stories, whatever story it is. You
Yeah.
know? So it gives it real weight and power. It doesn't become, to me, it doesn't seem or become cliche, because you're actually doing something with it. You're actually passionate about it,
Yeah.
and serious about it, And and that's why I was, I just want to say thank you for letting me come here and talk, because, like, I didn't think I had any real business, but me and you have had some really good chats.
Why do you say that?
Well, just because, like, of what I thought, at least, of what the Journey podcast was about.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, and that's another thing. Sam. So from my perspective, I felt like Sam thought, the journey was like, oh, you had to go play a sport and play Division I and do this and do
Yeah.
that. Bro, that's not what the journey is about. As I may have started with that because I have a lot of good friends that have made it
Yeah.
professional
Right.
basketball,
Yeah.
Division I and all.
Get some
Bro,
clout on this bitch.
that's not what the journey's about. And that's why, me and Sam have been having these conversations since we were 13.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me and him have been having these dialogues and intellectual conversations since we were young kids, bro.
Right.
And there's not many people that we can do that with, like me and you connect on, and we have that, connection where, we could speak for hours.
Yeah.
Bro, the other 2 weeks ago, me and Sam sat in the car for 2 hours and spoke.
2 hours, yeah.
2 hours, bro. We
That's
just sitting in
dope.
front of his crib, just speaking.
Awesome.
And it's just like, once you have those moments with people, you realize that, you can speak to them on a different level than just, the how are you level, like you were speaking on earlier.
I'm super happy that we did this, man, just because it's cool to, first of all, bro, it's cool to reconnect with you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
bro?
it's great 'cause we haven't seen each other, or like seen each other in passing, but we haven't connected.
Yeah, we haven't like
forever.
talked. If we've seen each other, it's been at a party and we're kind of playing our
In
party
passing,
roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is very superficial,
Yeah, I'd shotgun a beer with you though.
Yeah, probably not. You don't really drink like that, but yeah.
Oh, you don't drink like that anymore?
I never really did, but I was
Oh, no?
probably in the vicinity of beers being shotgunned.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, for real, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Back to the point where it's like, Sam had this thought where the journey's all about that, and you're saying thank you for coming on now, bro. Like, thank you for coming on,
Yeah.
because
I think this has been great.
these are
Really
conversations like this is the direction I want to go with the
Yeah.
podcast, and absolutely I want to share people's stories and share people's journeys, because the whole reason behind it, because I felt like my entire life has been a journey, from the age of 12, losing my mom, falling in love with a sport, really chasing that dream, battling injuries, the list goes on, but it's been nothing but ups and downs, and everything is a journey, life is a journey.
Yeah.
But that saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, because I feel like that's that's what builds you. That's what molds you into who you are and who you're going to be as a father, as a mentor, as a coach, as a leader, as a filmmaker, as, a critique of
A
film.
human being.
And
yeah.
at the end of the day, a human being, who you are as a human, everything you went through from the age of 8 to 23 has really shaped you. And then now 23, 24, 25, now you're getting into your adulthood. So obviously
we're
it
almost
changes. Yeah, it grows. We're not far from 30, but it grows, and it it changes drastically for some, and for others it doesn't.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, bro, life is all about the journey, and that's exactly why I did this podcast.
Lovely, bro.
Yeah, thank you. For
Yeah,
doing
thank you for fucking bringing us together, man. It's a
Yeah.
good thing.
No, for real, bro. I couldn't.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. This is episode 13. Any closing statements from you guys to wrap this one up?
I always give a bullshit one, so I want to say thank you for watching, man. I hope you guys watch more. And if there's any feedback, just post in the comments, and I don't know. That's it.
Yeah.
Hashtag smooth talk.
Smooth talk.
Talk.
Thank you, bro.
Love, bro.
Good one, baby. This was a good one. Thanks for having me. Jake, my man.